Sorry, really sorry. Something happened. I will be reading from beginning now. So we'll start from page 592. The Canto 2, Journey in Eternal Night and the Voice of the Darkness. The wonderful, the charioteer, the swift, a traveler of the million roads of life, his steps familiar with the lights of heaven, tread without pain the sword-paved courts of hell. There he descends to edge eternal joy. Love's golden wings have power to fan thy void. The eyes of love gaze starlike through death's night. The feet of love tread naked hardest worlds. He labors in thy depths, exults on the heights. He shall remake thy universe, O death. She spoke, and for a while no voice replied, while still they travelled through the trackless night, and still that gleam was like a pallid eye, troubling the darkness with its doubtful gaze. Then once more came a deep and perilous pause. In that unreal journey through blind night, once more a thought, a word in the void arose, and death made answer to the human soul. What is thy hope? To what dost thou aspire? This is thy body's sweetest lure of bliss, assailed by pain, a frail precarious form, to please for a few years thy faltering sense with honey of physical longings and the heart's fire, and a vain oneness seeking to embrace the brilliant idol of a fugitive hour. And thou, what art thou, soul? Thou glorious dream of brief emotions made and glittering thoughts, a thin dance of fireflies speeding through the night, a sparkling ferment in life's sunlit mare. Wilt thou claim immortality, O heart, crying against the eternal witnesses that thou and he are endless powers and last? Death only last, and the inconscient void. I only am eternal and endure. I am the shapeless formidable vast. I am the emptiness that men call space. I am a timeless nothingness carrying all. I am the illimitable, the mute alone. I think that's why the mic got mute. The mute alone. Sorry for the interruption. There was a problem in the mic setting. So we go to the next page, 593. I, death, am He, there is no other God. All from my depths are born, they lived by death. My force is nature that creates and slays, the hearts that hope, the limbs that long to live. I have made man her instrument and slave. His body I made my banquet, his life my food. Man has no other help but only death. He comes to me at his end for rest and peace. I, death, am the one refuge of thy soul. The gods to whom man prays can help not man. They are my imaginations and my moods reflected in him by illusion's power. That which thou seest as thy immortal self is a shadowy icon of my infinite. Is death in thee dreaming of eternity? I am the immobile in which all things move. I am the nude inane in which they cease. I have no body and no tongue to speak. I commune not with human eye and ear. Only thy thought gave a figure to my void, because, O aspirant to divinity, thou callest me to wrestle with thy soul. I have assumed a face, a form, a voice. But if there were a being witnessing all, how should he help thy passionate desire? Aloof he watches sole and absolute, indifferent to thy cry in nameless calm. His being is pure, unwounded, motionless, one. One endless watches the inconscient scene, where all things perish as the foam, the stars. The one lives forever. There no Satyavan, changing was born, and there no Savitri claims from brief life her bribe of joy. There love came never with its fretful eyes of tears, nor time is there, nor the vain vast of space. It wears no living face, it has no name, no gaze, no heart that throbs. It asks no second to aid its being or to share its joys. It is delight immortally alone. If thou desirest immortality, be then alone sufficient to thy soul. Live in thyself, forget the man thou lovest. My last grand death shall rescue thee from life. Then shalt thou rise into thy unmoved source. But Savitri replied to the dread voice, O death, who reasonest, I reason not. Reason that scans and breaks, but cannot build or builds in vain because she doubts a work. I am, I love, I see, I act, I will. Death answered her one deep surrounding cry. Know also, knowing thou shalt cease to love and cease to will, delivered from thy heart, so shalt thou rest for ever and be still, consenting to the impermanence of things. But Savitri replied for man to death, when I have loved for ever, I shall know. Love in me knows the truth, all changing's mask. I know that knowledge is a vast embrace. I know that every being is myself. In every heart is hidden the myriad one. I know the calm, transcendent, bears the world. The veiled inhabitant, the silent Lord. I feel his secret act, his intimate fire. I hear the murmur of the cosmic voice. I know my coming was a wave from God, for all his sons were conscient in my birth, and one who loves in us came veiled by death. Then was man born among the monstrous stars, dowered with the mind and heart to conquer thee. In the eternity of his ruthless will, sure of his empire and his armored might, like one disdaining violent, helpless words, from victim lips death answered not again. He stood in silence and in darkness wrapped, a figure motionless, a shadow vague, girt with the terrors of his secret sword. Half seen in clouds appeared a sombre face. Night's dusk tiara was his matted hair. The ashes of the pyre his forehead sign. Once more a wanderer in the unending night, blindly forbidden by dead vacant eyes, she travelled through the dumb, unhoping vasts. Around her rolled the shuddering waste of gloom, its swallowing emptiness and joyless death, resentful of a thought and life and love. Through the long fading night, by her compelled, gliding half seen on their unearthly path, phantasmal in the dimness, moved the three. Book 10, The Book of the Double Twilight, The Dream Twilight of the Ideal. Page 599. Canto 1. All still was darkness dread and desolate. There was no change nor any hope of change. In this black dream, which was a house of void, a walk to nowhere in a land of naught, ever they drifted without aim or goal. Gloom led towards gloom, depth to an emptier depth. In some positive non-being's purposeless vast, through formless ways dumb and unknowable, an effectual and ineffectual beam of suffering light, through the despairing darkness dogged their steps like the remembrance of a glory lost. Even while it grew, it seemed unreal there, yet haunted Nihil's chill stupendous realm, unquenchable, perpetual, lonely, null, a pallid ghost of some dead eternity. It was as if she must pay now her debt, her vain presumption to exist and think, to some brilliant Maya that conceived her soul. This most she must absolve with endless pangs. Her deep original sin, the will to be, and the sin last, greatest, the spiritual pride, that, made of dust, equaled itself with heaven. Its scorn of the worm writhing in the mud, condemned ephemeral, born from nature's dream, refusal of the transient creature's role, the claim to be a living fire of God, the will to be immortal and divine. Condemned ephemeral, born from nature's dream, refusal of the transient creature's rule, the claim to be a living fire of God, the will to be immortal and divine, in that tremendous darkness heavy and bare, she atoned for all since the first act when sprang the error of the consciousness of time, the rending of the inconscient seal of sleep. The primal and unpardoned revolt that broke the peace and silence of the nothingness which was before a seeming universe appeared in a vanity of imagined space and life, arose engendering grief and pain. A great negation was the real's face, prohibiting the vain process of time. And when there is no world, no creature more, when time's intrusion has been blotted out, it shall last unbodied, save from thought at peace, accursed in what had been her Godhead source, condemned to live forever empty of bliss, her immortality, her chastisement, her spirit guilty of being wandered doomed, moving forever through eternal night. But Maya is a veil. Maya is a veil of the Absolute. A truth occult has made this mighty world. The Eternal's wisdom and self-knowledge act in ignorant mind and in the body's depths. The inconscient is the superconscient sleep, an unintelligible intelligence invents creation's paradox profound. Spiritual thought is crammed in matter's forms. Unseen, it throws out a dumb energy and works a miracle by a machine. All here is a mystery of contraries. Darkness, a magic of self-hidden light. Suffering, some secret rapture's tragic mask. And death, an instrument of perpetual life. Although death walks beside us on life's road, a dim bystander at the body's start, and a last judgment on man's futile works. Other is the riddle of its ambiguous face. Death is a stair, a door, a stumbling stride the soul must take to cross from birth to birth, a grey defeat pregnant with victory, a whip to lash us towards our deathless state. The inconscient world is the spirit's self-made room, eternal night, shadow of eternal day. Night is not our beginning, nor our end. She is the dark mother in whose womb we have hid safe from too swift awaking to world pain. We came to her from a supernal light. By light we live, and to the light we go. Here in the seat of darkness, mute and lone, in the heart of everlasting nothingness, light conquered now, even by that feeble beam. Its faint infiltration drilled the blind deaf mass. Almost it changed into a glimmering sight that housed the phantom of an aureate sun, whose orb pupilled the eye of nothingness. A golden fire came in and burned night's heart. A dusky mindlessness began to drain. The inconscient conscious grew. Night felt and thought. Assailed in the sovereign emptiness of its reign, the intolerant darkness paled and drew apart, till only a few black remnants stained that ray. But on a failing edge of dumb, lost space, still a great dragon body sullenly loomed. Adversary of the slow struggling dawn, defending its ground of tortured mystery, it trailed its coils through the dead martyred air, and curving fled down a grey slope of time. There is a morning twilight of the gods. Miraculous from sleep their forms arise, and God's long nights are justified by dawn. There breaks a passion and splendor of new birth, a hue-winged visions stray across the lids. Heaven's chanting heralds waken dim-eyed space. The dreaming deities look beyond the scene and fashion in their thoughts the ideal worlds, sprung from a limitless moment of desire that once had lodged in some abysmal heart. Past was the heaviness of the eyeless dark, and all the sorrow of the night was dead. Surprised by a blind joy with groping hands, like one who wakes to find his dreams were true, into a happy misty twilight world, where all ran after light and joy and love, she slipped. There, far off raptures drew more close, and deep anticipations of delight, forever eager to be grasped and held, were never grasped, yet breathed strange ecstasy. A pearl-winged indistinctness fleeting swam, an air that dare not suffer too much light. Vague fields were there, vague pastures gleamed, vague trees, vague scenes dim-hearted in a drifting haze, vague cattle white roamed glimmering through the mist, vague spirits wandered with a bodiless cry, vague melodies touched the soul, and fled pursued into harmonious distances unceased. Forms subtly elusive and half luminous sparse, wishing no goal for their unearthly course, strayed happily through vague ideal lands, or floated without footing, or their walk led steps of reverie on sweet memories ground. Or they pace to the mighty measure of their thoughts, led by a low, far chanting of the gods. A ripple of gleaming wings crossed the far sky. Birds like pale blossomed imaginations flew with low disturbing voices of desire, and half-heard lowings drew the listening ear, as if the sun god's brilliant kine were there, hidden in mist and passing towards the sun. These fugitive beings, these elusive shapes, were all that claimed the eye and met the soul, the natural inhabitants of that world. Burning brazier. To be the divine love, love powerful, infinite, unfathomable, in every activity, in all the worlds of being. It is for this I cry to Thee, O Lord, Let me be consumed with this love divine, love powerful, infinite, unfathomable in every activity, in all the worlds of being. Transmute me into that burning brazier, so that all the atmosphere of earth may be purified with its flame. Oh, to be thy love infinitely. Prayer of aspiration. This morning my prayer rises to thee, always with the same aspiration, to live thy love, to radiate thy love with such potency and effectiveness that all may feel fortified, regenerated, and illumined by our contact. To have power to heal life, to relieve suffering, to generate peace and calm confidence, to efface anguish and replace it by the sense of the one true happiness, the happiness that is founded in thee and never fades, O Lord, O marvelous friend, O all-powerful Master, penetrate all our being, transfigure it till thou alone livest in us and through us. Prayer for those who wish to serve the Divine. Glory to thee, O Lord, who triumphest over every obstacle. Grant that nothing in us shall be an obstacle to thy work. Grant that nothing may retard thy manifestation. Grant that thy will may be done in all things and every moment. We stand here before thee that thy will may be fulfilled in us, in every element, in every activity of our being, from our supreme heights to the smallest cells of the body. Grant that we may be faithful to thee utterly and forever. We would be completely under thy influence to the exclusion of every other. Grant that we may never forget to own towards thee a deep and intense gratitude. Grant that we may never squander any of the marvelous things that are thy gifts to us at every instant. Grant that everything in us may collaborate in thy work and all be ready for thy realization. Glory to thee, O Lord, Supreme Master of all realization. Give us a faith active and ardent, absolute and unshakable in thy victory. ஸ்ரீ அரவிந்த அன்னைக்கு பிரார்த்தனை. ஆரோவில்லின் புதிய நகரத்திலிருந்து. அன்னையே, உங்கள் பெயரால் கூடியிருக்கும் நாங்கள் அனைவரும் உங்களின் ஒளியையும் உங்களின் பாதுகாப்பு அரவணைப்புக்கும் உரிய நாங்கள் ஒவ்வொருவரும் அக்னி பிழம்பாக எங்களை காத்துக்கொள்ளுமாறு பிரார்த்திக்கின்றோம். நாங்கள் எங்களையும் காத்துக்கொண்டு எங்களை சுற்றியிருப்போருக்கும் அக்னி ஜுவாலையாக திகழ நாங்கள் என்றென்றும் சக்தியுடன் செயல்பட எங்களை ஆசீர்வதிக்குமாறு பிரார்த்திக்கின்றோம். அன்னையே, எங்களுடைய இந்த பிரார்த்தனையை உங்களின் பாதார விந்தங்களில் ஆரோவில் என்னும் நகரத்திலிருந்து தொடுக்கின்றோம். ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளுங்கள் அன்னையே. Thanks being with me, and we shall meet today at 9 o'clock.